Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aquaman 2, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom trailer discussion. Today, it is myself, Hassan, and Neb. Neb has been recently unbanned from Twitter thanks to his situation with Smallville or something.
Neb uploaded an entire episode of Smallville onto Twitter and thought, it's so old, no one will notice. And here's the thing, for about a month and a half, no one did notice. But then they very much did, and they took down Neb's Twitter for copyright.
So funny.
It was funny. Like, what do you want from me? Like, it was like 12 years old, the consequences of my actions, whatever.
Anyway, speaking of funny, we're going to talk about Aquaman 2, which the trailer made it look like this is going to be much more comedic of a film versus the horror film vibes that I had been reading about up to this point. I don't know if maybe that was a previous version of the movie that got scrapped, and then we got this one.
I think the horror film is the spinoff, isn't it? Isn't the horror film The Trenches or whatever?
Oh, is that supposed to be a spinoff that got canceled? And this, okay, then I was on the wrong thing. Either way, this movie looks like it's going to be funnier. Before we go into anything, though, I do want to call out one thing, one of the actors, and I need to know if I'm the only one that sees this. So many of us saw Spider-Verse, and we all saw that we had Miles Morales from the good universe, and then we had the meaner Miles Morales from this evil universe. Did Black Manta not look like Kevin Hart from the evil Kevin Hart universe?
What, because of the facial scars?
Because
he looks like
if you look at the way he
you
looks,
think he looks like Kevin Hart with bold, dark lines?
If I saw like a gritty Kevin Hart, for some reason, that is what I pictured. And at first, I thought it was Kevin Hart, and I thought I was watching a spoof trailer. But I wanted to see if anyone else saw that. Did no one else see Kevin Hart in Black Manta? Was that just me? No?
Honestly,
okay.
No.
All right.
No.
You know what?
I can't say that I did.
Anyway, so Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So this is a movie that we have all been waiting for. It has been hyped up. Everyone's been wanting this movie. No one has said, wow, Aquaman 2, I don't want that. That is a word. That is a sentence that no one has ever said.
Yeah, everyone remembered that this movie was happening, right?
Exactly. Everyone remembered.
All of us didn't collectively remember it when people started tweeting images of it because they released photos. And that was it. And that was the only reason. I saw a TikTok that was somebody was like, all right, now that Blue Beetle's out, everything's out from the old universe. We're ready to start our new thing. We released everything. Flash and Blue Beetle are done. We released everything, right? Yeah. And then like James Wan walks in. When's the trailer for my movie coming out? What? You did a movie? What movie? Fast and Furious? I'm not even making that franchise anymore. What do you? Oh, you mean The Conjuring? No, Aquaman 2. You made another Aquaman movie? I just like, yeah.
And this is a movie that's coming out this December. So this is, I believe, I think this is the longest DC has taken in their movie history of releasing the trailer before actually releasing the film.
That is correct.
Let's go through this trailer a little bit. I've got it kind of in the background since we can't show it on stream. First thing that we see is Aquaman as a father. Did he have a kid at the end of the first movie? I don't recall him having the kid.
I didn't watch the movie.
I know you didn't. Some of these questions are for Neb Hassan. But this is more of just a quick setup piece that I wanted to make sure because I did watch the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. I don't recall a child.
It's been a very long time. People don't realize it was 2018 or like 5 years since the last one. But yeah, I really enjoyed it when it came out, and I rewatched it like 2 weeks ago. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah, the movie ended with Arthur becoming the King of Atlantis, but the baby thing is just a time skip. So that's just being introduced in this movie, so they can get to the classic story where his baby
gets kidnapped.
Yeah, we'll say that. Yeah, he gets kidnapped.
That's pretty dope. All things I love bringing in the narrative device child for the purpose of weapons against our hero. That's such a that's my favorite trope. Orm is the villain of that last movie, right? His brother,
Orm Ocean Master.
So I'm gonna bring up Young Justice here because they do like Atlantis and Aquaman Justice in that show. They do it really, really well because there's a lot of time skips in Young Justice, but you start with Aquaman and Aqualad, but you also get Aqualad Calderon, but you also get the other Aqualad, and he's not Aqualad, but he's another character right now. I don't remember what he was. I think Tempest is his name. Something like that. You get a lot of world building in that. And then through time skips and whatnot, Ocean Master gets ousted, I think, in between seasons. It's actually a video game that's Ocean Master's story, which is crazy, but they bring him back in season 4. And it's really funny that we're talking about this like baby kidnapping scenario. In that show, they do the darkest thing they've ever done in DC, where there's a house, like I think it's actually Flash's wife's house, and Flash's kids are there, and then Mira comes with like Arthur's baby, and then it's all like the super babies together, like on a play date. Basically, they get together once a month. It's a real exclusive club, and across the street, Orem is planning his revenge for being put into prison, and he's going to kill their entire family. And then like the light pulls up, and they stop him, and they say that's the nuclear option. We never do that. Like, even the villains are like, we will never do that under any circumstance. So it's really funny that, hey, we're gonna watch another thing with Aquaman's son in perpetual danger, including Orem. So it's fun that they're doing that. But that had to be one of like that made me more interested in the Aquaman franchise and IP more than anything else did. So off the heels of Young Justice, because you also get keenly familiar with Black Manta, I'm interested in this movie. I didn't watch the first one. I didn't care about it, but I actually like this trailer.
I'm actually surprised you didn't watch the first one, because the first one I enjoyed. I'm going to say that right now. The first Aquaman, one of my favorite DC movies.
I hear it did really well box office wise too, right?
It did shockingly well. Yeah, it was a lot of things culminating at once, where it was a like summer sort of movie, but it was released on Christmas, and those do pretty well. And it made $300 million just from China alone. Whereas like, you know, DC movies released these days, they can't make that in like, you know, in general. Right. Yeah, it was a big deal. It went up against Mary Poppins and Bumblebee and Spider-Verse and just beat them all at the same time. Like, it was nobody expected that. It was I still honestly I just can't believe that happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And this movie's supposed to be just a bit more mature than the last one. Black Manta is a really, you know how everybody jokes about Reverse Flash being like the really big hater and going back in time and pushing Barry down the stairs and this and that, and it's very funny. Black Manta is like honestly just as much of a hater, but doesn't get the appreciation for it like Reverse Flash does, because he doesn't have superpowers. But so for people who don't know, in the comics, Black Manta gets Aquaman's baby and suffocates it in like a pod and kills his baby.
Dude, I'm not laughing at that at all. Like, that sucks.
No, it's crazy. It's so dark that it's shocking. And this was in like the 80s, 90s or something. And I'm not like he suffocates his baby, and then I think injures Mira in like some event. And Aquaman's giving like a press conference. I think it's been a minute since I've seen the contest. And then Black Manta rises out of the water, and he just like screams like, "How's the wife and kid?" And then just goes back in the
ocean. In Young Justice, they put a little twist on that. In Young Justice, Calderon, is like Aqualad is Black Manta's son, and they don't tell you that. And they like Catch-22 it. If you guys watch season 2 of it, I don't want to spoil for some of the people who haven't seen it. Most people should have. That came out like a decade ago. But They do him really, really cool in that, because he's not like full on mustache twirling villain, but he hates Aquaman. Like Calder has like a whole line of dialogue with him when they're finally fighting it out, and he's like, "Father, I've seen your noble side. You're not a bad person." He goes, "You dare go back to the fish face?" And he just gets so angry, and then they fight, and it's crazy. But yeah, he hates Aquaman. I would say Reverse Flash gets a little bit more discussion, right? Because he just like, it's more maniacal what he can do with his powers. Like, he goes back in time to ruin the history. He's like, "I killed your mother."
The opportunity. He would if he could. He just can't do that.
Speaking of, though, so in the first one, we had Black Manta as the main villain, because I believe Aquaman kills Manta's father.
Yeah, so
and
Black Manta
he's going for revenge. Yes, so he's a pirate, and then in this one, in the Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, it looks like the main villain is once again going to be Black Manta, but this time he's got a corrupt trident, a dark trident that is going to give him basically underwater superpowers for villains.
So
dig it.
I
It
looked
looks
into
cool.
it because it seems like it's an original thing for the movie, whereas Jeff Johns in the New 52 tried establishing all the different like seven seas and the kingdoms and stuff like that. It's supposed to be like the Aquaman equivalent of how like there's a bunch of different lantern rings with different specialties and all that. And they never really got to the Lost Kingdom that they kept talking about. So I think this movie is just like a lot of original stuff that even comic fans haven't seen yet.
Interesting.
And it seems like it has a sort of like green energy to it. There's a lot of like ghosts and like just spectral things in the trailer, and that's where all the energy is coming from. And so he utilizes them somehow to attack Atlantis, and that's why he's been able to like power up. He has green eyes and all that, and yeah, so he has to work with Orm, the main villain of the first movie, just to have any chance at all of defeating him.
Where does Orm go at the end of the first movie?
Prison.
Okay.
he gets in prison, and so that's why in the trailer he's all like, he's just really skinny, he has a beard, long hair, and all that. Gotta say, someone pointed out in a reply to me recently, I didn't even realize that I feel stupid, is that Patrick Wilson originally was sought after to play Aquaman in the first place before they went with Jason Momoa, because he does look like classic
He looks
Aquaman.
like the original Aquaman. He looks like blonde Aquaman, and Momoa's just like brunette Aquaman. So it's interesting seeing both Aquaman working together, essentially.
Yeah, that's why they still cast him as the villain. And like early on in the first movie, he has that suit where it's like gold and he has the crown on. It's supposed to like directly be like him from the comics, which I thought was really funny. I just somehow never realized that. And then in this movie, he's wearing like some sort of like black suit with the Aquaman symbol on it. That's still supposed to be evocative of classic Aquaman. So I just think that's neat because I just somehow didn't notice that.
Yeah, I like the way that they are using his brother in this. It's kind of okay. So this is the question that I have been pondering while I was watching it, and what I wanted to ask you guys. We are all, I think it's a very common knowledge, Amber Heard had a larger role in this movie prior to everything that happened. They had to wind her role back. I believe in this, she appears in the trailer on like one spot where she's trying to break out of a prison of some sort.
Yeah.
Do we think that Orm is basically just replacing Mera in all of those locations?
I actually think so.
That's kind of the vibe that I was getting. Like, I thought for some reason they were going to do like a different, we're putting this further in time, she's sick or something like that. That's why the kid's over here. Yeah. But I'm starting to think that maybe the Ocean Master is the swap out.
So
they literally just swapped him in.
The thing about that, they've said a few different things about it, and none of them have made sense. So James Wan said the movie was originally pitched this way anyway, where it's more of like, the first movie focuses on Aquaman and Mera's relationship, and then the second to be like a bromance, like buddy comedy with the two of them. And like that can still be true, but it just doesn't make any sense that there'd be a movie where presumably Arthur's baby gets kidnapped and Mera is not like a big part of it. Like that's just silly.
Right.
So they definitely did they may not have, because I don't remember the timeline of when this was filmed. So I don't know if they would have cut stuff out or what, but either way, this movie went through a lot of reshoots, like so many. So it's the fact that there is only one shot of her in the trailer, and it's not even a second. It's not just one frame, but it's like 7 frames. It's so absurd.
Yeah, it's clear they were like, hey, she's here. Shut up.
That's probably a contractual obligation, is what it is. Like, I don't think you can release a trailer with like leading actors, contract-wise, without that. Like, even Ezra Miller did everything Ezra Miller did, and Ezra Miller still made it into like marketing material on some level. They weren't allowed to do press, right? They didn't do press other than releasing statements, but they obviously can't cut Ezra Miller from the film. No. Same way they can't cut Amber Heard from this film entirely. It's definitely interesting. I got that vibe too. I feel like if you were to do this movie, you'd do like a couple buddy cop adventure. Like the couple is together, doing whatever. It was an interesting choice to go with bringing the villain back in the second film. I would do it in the third, actually.
Right.
I would absolutely do it in the third. You give it some time. Young Justice does it in the 5th season or the 4th season, I believe, actually, because they bring him back as like a clone or something.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that being said, though, I kind of like this idea more. I feel like Jason Momoa, the vibes that he has given off in every movie that I have seen him in as Aquaman, I feel like a funny bromance works well with the way he plays that character.
For
and I
sure,
feel like because of that, that's going to make this swap out of Orm being the main co-star of it actually work out, because we do have that the brothers who have to work together to save the kingdom, even though they're not like proper. It's Aqua Step Brothers is basically the vibe that I'm kind of getting from this, and that sounds actually kind of hilarious and fun.
You might not have realized it. I don't blame you. It's basically supposed to be Thor: The Dark World, but good. It's the same sort of pitch. And so, yeah, I hope they can pull it off this time. No guarantees.
Best part is they actually pitched it like that. Thor, it's like Thor: Dark World, but underwater and good.
So, right, because I mean, like, the concept of that movie was not bad. You know, there's a lot of things that involving that movie, but yeah. And honestly, Orm is such a compelling character, because Hassan was talking about him on Young Justice, right? And it's I usually kind of like don't. I try to read it a lot of comments, but I find it difficult. So I kind of just like get excited when a trailer for something comes out. Then I start like binging everything. I've been reading the New 52 Aquaman stuff recently, which is what all the cinematic things are based on anyways. And Orm is such a funny villain. I can't even explain. He's written like, he genuinely just cannot fathom the surface world and thinks we're all just like lesser beings, but like as if we were like just like stupid like rodents essentially. And there's a scene where it's during like the whole storyline where like the Earth 3 Justice League invades, and like, you know, they're criminals. It's it was called Forever Evil, and everybody's breaking out of prison, so a bunch of civilians are like just minding their own business until like, you know, like a prisoner like breaks into their home or something like that. And this woman and her child are being attacked, and she sees Orm walking towards the ocean, and she's just baiting for him to help out. And she says something like, "Please, my boy's only 8 years old." And he's just like, "I had to fight for myself when I was 8." And then he just keeps walking and walking. And then it takes a second. He sinks under the water completely. You think he's really gonna just let them go, and then he just bursts out and says, "8 is too young." And then he goes back and saves them. And he just lives with them, and that's like his family. Like,
what?
Oh, I actually think I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, it's like the weirdest story, and he like falls in love with her or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess it's supposed to be like a bit of a like a
Does
mirror.
She fall in love with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You always have to make sure in these. I mean, given the context of what you said, I was like, what? Sadistic comic book writer.
So, yeah, because Jason Momoa's version of Arthur is very different from the comic version, because he just sort of plays himself, and he's a bit I was surprised when I rewatched the first movie. He's just a moron. They just play him like a moron, which I thought was odd, because in the comics he's still like this regal dude who knows what he's doing.
He's so regal.
Yeah.
He's so excessively regal, honestly. Like Young Justice plays it like that too. After the time skip, he's not Aquaman anymore. He's just the King of Atlantis, because that role suited him better.
Yeah. And so
it doesn't.
I hope that comes through a bit more in this movie, because it would be kind of unbelievable now that he's the actual king and has been for a while. But either way, at least Black Manta and Orm by themselves are two extremely compelling characters, and they're just so funny. It's hard to explain how funny they are. Yeah, just this one ridiculously evil hater, and this just like lunatic man, like this ocean guy. I love them both. So it's a great supporting cast. And I'm just really excited.
Yeah. Overall, I'm not going to lie. I think this looks like it's got some potential. Do I think it's going to break box office? Do I think it's going to be like ground shattering? No, I don't. But I think that it's not going to be a flop. Haha. Funny fish joke. Anyway, what do you guys think? What are you two opinions? Do you think does this make you at all want to watch the first Aquaman, Hassan? Does give you any Aquaman interest at all, or are you just like
till week 1 reviews come out, and if they look good, I'll watch Aquaman 1 and go see it in theaters. If they don't, I probably won't see either, and if I do, I'll watch it when it streams.
Fair enough. Neb, what do you think? What's your opinion? Are you going to see it? Are you going to dread to see it? Are you excited to see it?
Honestly, I don't think there's a DC movie that I won't see in theaters at this point. I'm just a shill. It is hopeless. But
True. It's
for the
so
record,
true.
it does. It does look really good.
It looks funny.
At least it looks to me. It looks funny. It's just it's like more of like the Aquaman story from the comics that I wanted. So I think the box office situation might be one of the most interesting things to come out of it, however way it goes. Because again, the first made $1 billion, but now like the culture has changed so much and everything that it's a big wild card. And personally, I think it might just like not do anywhere near as bad as the recent DC movies, which are as low as you can possibly go, basically. And then I still think it won't reach anywhere near what the first movie did. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle, and sadly, that's kind of just the best outcome. I guess I'll take it. But I mean, hey, this is the last movie in this universe, so that's a weird position for an Aquaman movie to be in.
Right. So, all right. Well, there you guys go. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is coming out December 20th. Let us know what you think down below. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Do you think this is going to be fun? I think it's going to be a pretty funny film. I think part of me feels like when the Amber Heard thing happened and the universe is ending, they kind of were just like, let's just make a sign-off film. Screw it. Just make a good one.
Right.
Doesn't have to connect to anything.
That situation, and you have the Flash with that situation.
Exactly, like
just a complete mess, not knowing what to do. I think it's unprecedented, probably. So yeah.
Exactly. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching today. He's Hassan. He's Neb. Check him out on Neb's Good Takes on Twitter, I believe, is still. I don't think you had to change your name at all after getting banned. And you can check him out at Hassan.Kader on YouTube. Do you want to hear Sal and Benny talk about this? Let us know in the comments down below. If enough people request it, I will force both of them to talk about the trailer for you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.